What other episodes have you guys done?
Well,
Interesting.
BTR.
Mhm.
Have we not done BTR or
We've
we
That was
done
the
did
first one
BTR,
we
yeah.
did.
Born to Run, Born in the USA?
And
E
East
Street
Street
Shuffle.
Shuffle.
And then
That's
this one.
it.
Yeah.
And then this one,
Oh.
yeah. And then this is your fifth appearance though. Like this is you did
Y'all
Carly.
get ready
yeah.
for the Ghost of Tom Joad in 2034 or whenever.
yeah.
No, there's no way we're doing Ghost of Tom Joad before Dust Devils.
Oh, Devils and Dust, sir.
Devils and Dust.
Dust Devils. I
Whatever.
made an album about cleaning your apartment. Come on.
Well, I better let's start the episode. Click.
Remember that record that you bought me like 2 years ago? Well, I just remembered that it's sitting in the closet. So I called you up just to tell you I've been meaning to listen to that. I've been meaning to listen to that. Why don't you come over and talk about it? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Why don't you come over and talk about it?
All right, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to I've Been Mean to Listen to That, the podcast where we go through albums we've been mean to listen to and use it as a conduit to learn about each other and our guests. I'm Andrew Ambrose Lee.
I'm Dakota Foss.
Dakota Foss.
I'm so senior.
You might know this guy put the T in the Kevin T in terms of like the T on Ellen. He's also the host of Gilmore Guys and Good Christian Fun. It's Kevin T. Porter. Hey.
Oh my
Oh
God.
God. He's not even writing them down anymore, Kevin.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is podcast number 5. It's our fifth show.
and Stefanie. And
Look at that. Thanks for having me back, gang.
yeah, thank you so much for being so gracious.
What
for,
a nice time. Yeah, here's what I'm realizing doing this because we, aside from the Carly Rae Jepsen one, this is the 4th consecutive episode about Bruce. I am wondering if y'all are getting a healthy little Venmo payment annually from Caroline to give me an outlet where she's like, hey, can you like book him again so I don't have to deal with listening to this BS on my show? And, it doesn't really matter to me how we get here as long as we get here, and thrilled to be here. Happy to be talking
I
about
didn't know that was a thing
Bruce
we could be doing.
Springsteen's Nebraska. Steph and Dakota, are you going to see the movie?
I don't know.
We might do an episode on it. Like, yeah.
Truthfully, probably not. Like unless I had like a reason to, like we did an episode specifically about it, maybe I would. But like in a time where we are so desperate to tear down all of our like sacred cows, like I think that I want to like hold a little more reverence to the boss than to, wipe away some of that mysticism with whatever the hell's going on with this film,
Yeah, well, I tell you what, like sometimes there is such a thing as far as like interrogating this stuff and diving into it that can feel like gilding the lily, and it's like you can't. I think you can overdose on like extra textual information about the things that you love, and it can become something where it's like, oh, is that all it is? Like you can almost. And I'll just say this briefly, because I know this is about the movie, but truly watching the movie made me think Nebraska was kind of stupid. And then like preparing for this podcast and being like, no, wait, this is amazing. Made me like made me remember what I loved about it. But there's such like a trauma math sort of tidiness about the narrative of the movie where it's like, that's not, I don't think, how like every TV show or movie you watch now, it's like that person's unpleasant or strange or weird. I wonder why that is. Flashback, turns out this bad thing happened, or their mom did this, or their dad, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's such an uninteresting way to examine day-to-day life. In the same way, something like this music, and especially an album like this, which came out with no promotion, no tour, no interviews. It just came out in sort of like a drop, like mystery box. I think it loses a lot of its power when you put it in such a tidy little streamlined, well, Bruce watched Badlands by Terrence Malick, and then he watched Night of the Hunter, and then he read Flannery O'Connor, and that's how you have these songs. Like it feels
Totally.
even if like parts of it are true, which I think they are. Watching it in the movie, I was like, this sucks. Like, and it makes the creative process seem like literally. And I'll stop talking about the movie, but like he opens a Flannery O'Connor book, reads like a paragraph, and then he writes like 3 verses of a song, and I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
I bet it was different than this. I bet it was not one for one. He sees the Chicken Man in Philly last night. I'm going to write about a Chicken Man in Philly last night. Like, I bet it was the songwriting process was a little bit more mysterious.
It just had the like. I'm glad that I listened to this album before seeing the film, which I may or may not see because I don't want to look at Jeremy Allen White's stupid fucking face. But Jeremy Allen White, if you're listening, I said it and I'd say it again. But I can't really take biopics seriously after the Weird Al fucking movie because it like hits or like have you seen like a Walk Hard?
Walk
like
yeah.
It's like it's just that's what that trailer makes me think of. Is just like it feels like parody because it just feels like there's such a formula for biopics. And the thing is, like, if it was I don't know, if it was interesting, I would care more. But it just feels like it's like a.
I'm an optimist about it. I think there is. I can't think of anything right now, but I could imagine an interesting way to do one. Truly,
I certainly could as well, but I don't
a complete
know if this was it.
unknown. A complete unknown felt like fucking Citizen Kane compared to Deliver Me from Nowhere. Unfortunately, I hate to be so hateful about it, but like, yes, you would think something like Walk Hard, where it's like, oh, we have calcified these narratives so efficiently. Yeah. Does this inoculate their persistence in the culture? And the answer is no. And it's funny because James Mangold was like, "Oh yeah, I saw Walk Hard," and it's like, "But bro, you're still doing the why you gotta do that." And the thing about like, I don't know, just like speaking in Wikipedia articles and the dialogue of like,
good thing you didn't take the song to Donna Summer. It's just like that.
Exactly, where it's just like, oh, this is just like information delivery mechanisms, where it's like, oh, you're watching this in a class about the subject, rather than like. I've heard like alternate pitches of like there you could do like, oh, if he was inspired by Badlands, the film, could you do like a Malickian sort of take on it, where it's like it's non-linear, it's very dreamy, you get glimpses of everything that he experienced in his life in a way that felt like dream and memory, that was less dialogue heavy and actually showcase more the power of the music, which I feel like there's just, especially for something like this, there's really no substitute. And there's almost a folly. There's almost a sort of like beautiful metaphor of the folly of like, we're going to make a movie about the creation of Nebraska, that album, in the same way where it's like, we're going to try to make full band cuts of all these demos for Nebraska. It almost feels one for one, where it's like, oh, don't try to like put that in a bottle because it will not measure up to your intention.
Yeah. Which is such also a crazy thing to do because, I mean, as you mentioned, like, right, like Bruce like released Nebraska and was like, here it is, goodbye. Like, you know what I mean? He was just like, if it'll speak for itself. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you that it's good. And it's so funny that that's the album that gets this like microscopic.
Yeah, there's just so many like so many unnecessary questions that the existence of this movie like has me asking, you know, like why are we making a Bruce Springsteen picture like this when he's still alive? That already feels like icky to me. Like I don't know, like I haven't read a bunch of interviews. I don't know how much of this movie he like approves or like his true feelings, but like, you know, by all measures, like from what I've gleaned from where Bruce is at right now, like he's in an interesting spot, like in his life. You know, he's clearly like he's taking into account things like his legacy. He's like acutely aware of his own mortality. I feel like every other line in an interview, he's like, yeah, you know, like death is coming for me soon, probably. Like half the people I know are dead.
And when he said that on Hot Ones, I was like, wow, Sean Evans doesn't know how to react to this.
Yeah. Sean Evans is like, we're only on wing number 3, man.
Death is coming for me soon. 100% agree. On Subway Takes.
But like, you know, like he seems like kind of in a dark place, but like also he's like fighting the good fight. You know, he's still standing on business with his politics. He's still touring the world. He's still putting out kind of bangers. You know, I thought his last couple albums were pretty good. But like it just seems odd and like marring the image of him as an icon for something like this to come out. I mean, I say that when this movie truly does not make a dent in my idea of him. I frequently forget that it exists, honestly. So it's still just like, why did this get made? We have this dark mystery box of Nebraska, and we're just gonna throw the bear guy in there and have him sing question mark amount of the songs. Like, what are we doing here?
Question mark amount. I know. There's something, and I'm sure the like answer to your rhetorical question is just like because it could get made, and because of packaging and 5 things lining up at the exact right time, and the IP of real life and a book existing being as good as any reason to like that is actually an easier thing for Scott Cooper to make than like I wrote a screenplay about a singer-songwriter struggling with depression. Well, it's like, okay, well, what if it was this guy? You know, like, of course that's the case, but yes, I agree with you that it will be remembered in the same way that like TV movies about John Lennon and Paul McCartney being friends are remembered, which is like, do they exist? Am I making this up right now that they exist? Who knows? Check my math later.
When all is said and done on Bruce's life, the only person I want making a movie about him is Baz Luhrmann. Let's get him going.
Crazy.
I mean, genuinely, okay, that's a good example, Dakota, because like Elvis is so walk hard that it became enjoyable.
I loved it.
That it became like, this is Goof City. Baz is the mayor, obviously. And there was so much about it that like commits the sins of biopics, but it was just like running headfirst into the wall of it in a way that like, I was like, damn, I mean, I enjoyed it start to finish. And especially that's like, I think the thing I loved about the most though, is that it was a non-literal depiction of the feelings of Elvis.
Right. Yes.
And this idea of like drawing some sort of when he did the wiggle, it sounded like electric guitars going, you know, or like it sounded like this kind of hip hop beat, and the way they messed with the music and the production of it was so interesting.
Baz Luhrmann's great at that.
Yes. Yeah. He's so good at like the anachronistic, like this is what it felt like. This is not a one for one.
Could you imagine him like examining like Bruce Springsteen having these like freakouts because Born to Run doesn't sound like it does in his head? Like, imagine what those scenes would look like.
I know, it's a better movie. You're so right.
And also that being said, this gonna sound blasphemous. Love and respect to Bruce, but like, I don't really find him that interesting of a person.
No, I
think he's. I found a copy of his autobiography at a used bookstore for $6 when I was working out of town, and I've been slowly working my way through it. But his writing is so good, but the book reads like it's just a long form album, and sometimes it's really hard to work through that narrative. And it's like, Bruce, how much of this is true, man? Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
I think that's an interesting point, and that's what's so funny is because his narrative is pretty exempt from external conflict and scandal. Like the big fulcrum points are he had to get out of a bad contract in the 70s. His first marriage fell apart, and maybe he cheated on his first wife with his second wife. Other than that, it's been like, no worries, man. Like he's not Billy Joel driving into people's houses. There was no cocaine bust. There was no underage groupie. Yeah. It's just been like, oh yeah, he had like kids in the 90s and he kind of slowed down and he sped back up and he's maintained his relevance in this way that's like feels a little unprecedented in a QC with the albums like Dakota's talking about. That feels a little unprecedented, but it is even when it was announced where it's like they're making the movie out of the Nebraska book, which I read and I think is an interesting read. But I was like, that's maybe not a movie, you know. That's not
Yeah.
that's not exactly wow. I wonder how he, because the whole thing is framed as like this struggle for artistic integrity, but to me that's not even really what the, I mean that's maybe some of what the album is actually about, just in the way that it was released, and like isolation and what it means to be alone and staring into the abyss. Like so many of the songs are like explicitly reckoning with. But yeah, for like a 2 hour movie, there's not that much there. I think there's always a more interesting way to get to all those things. I even think about the I'm Not There, the Todd Haynes, Bob Dylan, not biopic, but just kind of like the, okay, Bob Dylan's 7 different guys. One of them's Christian Bale, one of them's Kate Blanchett, one of them's Heath Ledger. That's a more interesting insight into it. But what did everyone think of this album?
Yeah. Like let's I really liked it. I thought it was good. Well, that's all the time we have today. So
Yeah.
like
Shortest episode yet.
But I guess before we get into that, like let's have Kevin talk some more in terms of how, in terms of like,
I don't hate that.
I guess like in terms of so like there's the movie, I think one of the big flaws is it just feels like a Wikipedia article being read to me of just like this happened and this happened, like so like, and like it's kind of cool. It is kind of cool to like watch the context of it, like, you know, how it was made. But I guess like for you, Kevin, like what would be the context necessary for just like a regular person to appreciate and enjoy what this album is?
Oh, I think contextualizing it as a huge like artistic left turn, which is kind of the thesis statement of the movie that I do think is like fairly accurate, but just like that this is one of the major left turns in a person's discography, that it's not like, you know, he just kept going in this certain direction and it kind of crescendos with Born in the USA, even though it sneakily does, because all the songs written for Nebraska and Born in the USA, they all come out of the same writing session. And there's things cut for Nebraska that end up on the Born in the USA instead. But it's all kind of like the same mood and energy and contemplation. So that seems interesting to me as a listener. The other thing that seems interesting to me is just the idea of like him being the leader of this band and having a certain amount of camaraderie. There are interviews with Max Weinberg where he's like, yeah, I remember this period of time. Max Weinberg, for whatever reason, remembers everything. Like all the other band members are like, nah, I don't really recall. And Max is like, it was June. That? It was, I mean, maybe it was Steven Vincent. I was a gangster in Norway or whatever. But yeah, Max remembers like, I remember that as a time that like Bruce went off the grid and none of us knew where he lived. So truly just kind of like a guy who has always described himself as a loner, which I always think is the interesting paradox with him, is someone who is like a silly goose on stage, and very much like his whole thing is like flamboyant exertion of energy and joy, and someone who's like, I'm kind of a recluse, and I do that on stage as a way to work out these other things that like are maybe a little bit darker or whatever. So this album kind of being a reckoning with that, whereas like all the other stuff and stuff that we've listened to on the show is like, here's a snapshot of New Jersey life, the boardwalk, where I came from, the music scene, the E Street Shuffle of it all, etc. Born in the USA being like more of like an outward portrait of that stuff, written from his POV, but this being like a little more autobiographical in that sense, spiritually so, not like any of these narratives map on one to one, maybe like Used Cars or something, but that it is his most personal, even though it's the one cloaked in the most fiction, where it is like, here's the thing about Charlie Starkweather. Here's the thing about Testa, the mafioso guy who is the chicken man in Atlantic City. So it's mixed with that, but the fashion in which it's done and recorded is actually the most him in some ways. That it is like it is the rawest part of it. And even the notion of like on all the other albums he's talked about, I'm singing obviously for the album, but this because of the lack of intention for release. I'm just singing to myself. So that's like a different voice that you use for that. So I think in some ways it also represents, to me, his best sounding album in some ways, just because I could tell you every live version I love of it, where it's like very much adapted into a different animal and beast of whatever the song is. But he couldn't do it again. He tried to record it, not even with the band in the studio, but even just like, I'll record it by myself in the studio with just an acoustic guitar, and he couldn't do it. Like it just felt off. So there's just a little magic lightning in a bottle thing. And then as far as like other people have written about this, so comprehensively, but just like its influence on what we think of as like indie music, the genre of literal bedroom pop, it's quite influential in that regard. As far as like, the TAC 110 or whatever the 4-track multi-track recorder was that he was recording on, and just like that sort of thing being accessible, and sort of just like a snapshot of like, how does technology change what the actual content of, not even just like as a delivery mechanism, vinyl versus CD versus streaming versus 8-track, but then also like the technology that's being recorded on. And when it was like, oh, you don't have to go into, the record plant in New York to record, or the power station or whatever it is, you can just be in your bedroom with one other guy recording you and engineering. That's like, it's so and to me, it also represents like the thing that just keeps him from being completely like, your dad likes Bruce Springsteen, your dad likes Rosalita and wants to hear Born to Run and Glory Days. It kind of bridges that gap with people who, like music snobs and people where it's like, what is indie street cred? And that was the thing that was notable to me about like in my adolescence of Bruce, was understanding like, oh, Arcade Fire adores Bruce Springsteen. That's not who I would have thought, given like the nature of their stuff. By the way, they collaborate with him on a version of State Trooper on.
Oh, wow.
On the
really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What era Arcade Fire are we talking?
So I think they were playing it on Neon Bible Tour. So that was 2007.
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah. And then he did a show in Toronto on the Magic Tour, because that came out the same year, his album Magic. And he's like, all right, we're going to bring in our friends Regine and Win. And then they play State Trooper, which is awesome. You can see a really good clip of on YouTube. And then from there, they launch into Keep the Car Running. And there's this great video of this sweet man holding like this juddery digital digicam video, because it was right before everyone had an iPhone. And he's going, oh my God, holy shit. And it's so sincere and sweet and funny to watch. But yeah, it's a very good rendition. But yeah, I think this is like the bridge to everything. Also, just like, this is him purely a songwriter rather than like, I'm a band leader. Hey, come on, Max. Come on, Roy. Come on, Clarence. This is only songwriting. It's only songwriting and then his voice. So then the evolution, because we've talked about so much of the wordy albums on this podcast, where it's like, Wild Dance in East Street Shuffle, Sparks Fly on East Street when all the boy prophets look handsome and hot. And Nebraska's like, saw her standing on her front porch, just twirling her baton. And sort of a challenge to himself of like, can I be as efficient as possible in the songwriting stuff? And it is so funny because songs like Highway Patrolman, everyone's like, well, that's a whole movie. And so Sean Penn made a movie called The Indian Runner that's literally the narrative of Highway Patrolman. That was always the Ed Norton line, too, about Meeting Across the River. He's like, Bruce is the best songwriter because that's a movie right there. Meeting Across the River, that's a whole movie. Anyway, someone needs to interrupt me because I'm filibustering. But I think that's most of the context that's necessary for it. It is sort of his, for Gen Z, this is his Folklore Evermore.
Yeah, there we go.
Right. Yeah.
This is the Bruce Springsteen album for people who don't like Bruce Springsteen, kind of that idea.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like the people are like, I don't like that dad rock stuff.
Well, I mean,
but Nebraska's pretty good.
Right. But that's not inaccurate, right? Because I guess I didn't realize, I knew this was before Born in the USA, but I for some reason thought The River was after Born in the USA. And so
I did too, anyway, for some reason.
Yeah, I thought it was a later later album, but this comes out right between The River and Born in the USA, which are like hyper pop. I mean, they're not, but like they're very poppy and bombastic and very big sounding, and to have this wedged in the middle is so odd. So it's not inaccurate to say that it would, like, if you liked The River and you like, like this would be like a huge left turn for you as a Bruce fan, I feel.
Yeah, I think that is way more efficient than everything I said. I could have just said that.
But like it's
because I do think that's true. I think it's true to a large degree. Like my friend Sam is not like a huge fan, but he has Nebraska on vinyl because he understands where it like exists in the context of 20th century music,
Yeah, and like just like all the greats that you like, all the great artists that you love, like the idea of a Nebraska in your discography is such a great thing to have, like he did all these albums and then he has a Nebraska where it's just like kind of this intimate, smaller, just like beautiful, like, yeah, I think it's really,
I can't think of like kind of just scanning like the greater canon of music. Like, has there ever been somebody who has been like as high profile as Bruce was when this album came out that like dropped something like this before Nebraska?
Before Nebraska? Yeah, I mean,
it was like what Kevin was saying. Like this kind of paved the way for some sects of like indie music. Like I think like a good analog to this, even though the timeline's a little different for their own discography, like I think of like the Mountain Goats' All Hail West Texas, that was just like kind of like the technology informing the art. That was just him with the recorder, like, just in his spare time slapping an album together about how big and empty Texas was, in the same way that this is about empty corn streets, roads that you drive,
Empty corn street roads that you drive. I mean,
that's one of the B-sides of Nebraska.
Yeah,
which you can find on the extended Nebraska box set out in stores now.
The 10-disc version.
Electric Nebraska.
They finally released it, and everyone's take was, well, he made the right choice.
Yep, that was my take. I listened to the album and I was like, I want to hear those versions of it. And I clicked on like the first one and I was like, that was a great call to not do this, Bruce.
I did like in that box set. I did like the re-recordings he did, like as an older man, like doing all the songs. I thought that was fun. Like I thought that was cool. Like there's still an integrity to his voice where it's just like, he doesn't. Like he still like feels all the things he wrote in the songs and such, which I think.
Oh gosh, a great example of that, of like the age, like giving value to the music over time, is Springsteen on Broadway, which is on Netflix. He does a version of My Father's House that is chilling, and he talks about his dad a lot, and it's just it's incredibly well performed.
Well, I guess like another question though, like is. Like, so you said like this kind of like triangulates on the real Springsteen, like who he, like, what do you think is revealed from this album and from this body of work that maybe you wouldn't have gotten? Like, for example, I don't think we've talked about his dad at all in like all the episodes we've done so far, like, I don't think we've really talked about that much. So like, what's your perspective on that?
Well, I mean, there is some genuine autobiography in this that he's talked about, like that used cars literally is like, that was just kind of my life, is like, his dad had undiagnosed bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, and he was an alcoholic, and his mother represented obviously like the lighter side of his childhood. She's the one that like saved up and bought him his first guitar, blah blah blah. So he obviously has been writing about his dad, since Adam Raised the Cane, on Darkness on the Edge of Town, Independence Day on the River, things like that. But I think what people forget about him is that he was signed as a solo artist to Columbia Records. He kind of did a bait and switch on John Hammond, that signed him in 1973, because he was like, his audition was like him just singing Growing Up and, Mary Queen of Arkansas and all these. And then when he was recording Greetings, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna bring the band in. And they're like, huh? Oh, okay, sure, I guess so. So this is also him returning to whatever that first promise was of who he was gonna be as a singer-songwriter. Because that was not who he became known for as a live performer. He was like the band guy. Have you seen the way he sweats on, like, he's like James Brown meets Elvis meets Dylan meets blah blah blah. That was his reputation. So it's almost in the way that like you can kind of see the seams of the way pop stars now curate their careers and do like, okay, I need to do this now. I need to have this kind of brand deal. I need to have this placement in a TV show, blah, blah, blah. It feels like he's kind of doing that on instinct, because the thing I think about this album too is like country songs age so much better than rock songs. Rock songs are about like, she was 17 and I wanted to kiss her. It's always like excess and sexuality and youth culture. And on this album, and he, Factory and other things on the river are kind of like country core in a lot of ways. But like he's building in like, my name's Joe Roberts, I work for the state. Like these are like very purely country songs, as well as rockabilly songs, as well as kind of like weird folk songs mixed with like influences of suicide. But the isolation of what it felt like he was experiencing off the road, that I feel like most of the audience did not understand until Steph was talking about his autobiography, Born to Run, came out in 2016 or 2017, that he was like, oh, I was on stage a lot because I didn't want to get off stage because I was scared of what would happen and being alone. And that is not represented in any literal way on the album, but it is emotionally represented in songs like Reason to Believe, State Trooper. I feel like that sort of energy, it is contained within the album. And you can do the metatextual, the thing that like I feel Taylor Swift and artists of her ilk have trained us to do is like, okay, this song, how is this about him and who's that boy and how does this like match up doing the Red Twine? You can approach it that way, but you can also just approach it as like, woo, this is just like some dark tales, pretty bleak. This is a keen observer of behavior and narrative. You can do it either way. And I think both ways are equally rewarding. And obviously it's like more rewarding the more like distance you get from it, like the metatextual aspects of his own life, where it's like, because in interviews for this movie now that he's doing with Jeremy Allen White, a lot of what he says is like, I'm old, I don't care now, whatever.
Basically,
like,
yeah,
really,
he's so checked out.
Well, because his reputation at this time in 1982 is like, oh, he's the control freak. He's the one that goes to every seat in the arena during sound check to make sure it's a good oral experience for everyone who's at the show. Whoa. And so and he would never release live shows, even though he was the live performer of his time, other than like a box set in 1985 and then live in New York City. Like he wouldn't release them. And now it's like, boom, archives are open. So you can sense him like loosening the grip on the wheel. Yeah. But I feel like you can feel a tight grip even on this album, even though it's done in this sort of like accidentally lackadaisical way.
Totally. I think I don't remember what interview I was watching. I think he was on some late night talk show, and they were relitigating. It was probably fucking Fallon, but who cares? They were relitigating.
Hey guys, that was Bruce. That was cool. Nebraska.
They were relitigating the lyrics in Thunder Road, whether it was Mary's dress sways or wave, because in the original printing it was waves. I think it was printed incorrectly. And he clarifies it on the interview, but he starts it by going, when I was younger, I was a sociopath. And every time I think of Bruce, like that's what I think of. That's like he knows what a micromanager he is, and I like think about that all. I like that he can sort of clown himself about it now, but every time I think of like his music, like every time I listen to it now, I just think about how like precise it all is and how it's it's so engineered to feel imprecise, but it's not at all. Like it's such a 3D chess move of like, it's so engineered to feel not engineered. And it's like the mind fuck of that is like kind of brilliant, you know?
That's like the brilliance of like Born, like, you know, especially Born to Run, like all the famous stories of him just like freaking out at the studio, like throwing shit, being like, it's not how it is in my head. Just like millions, hundreds and hundreds of takes of him trying to get that nonchalantness out. And, the juice was definitely worth the squeeze, in my opinion. But like, it is interesting now, like you guys are saying, like, that he's older. I think in tandem with his omnipresent fear of death, like I think he's at this age. I get the sense that like he wants to let people in to like see if he did the right thing with his like control. Like he feels like death is final, and this is the only opportunity that he's going to get to be like judged, like to get into the pearly gates, or
Damn, dog,
like
Dakota.
That's
heavy.
It is heavy. Do you get the sense that Bruce is like a light dude?
Right.
Not from this album, I don't.
It's a little bit, what it is a little bit though? I wonder if it's a little bit like Dolly Parton, where it's like she has that similar like, oh, I'm just a country girl like persona, but it's all incredibly calculated and put together. Do you know? I literally have a friend who thinks that her husband doesn't exist. Well, he was like, I don't think Carl is a real person.
He doesn't exist.
He doesn't, but like he thinks Carl was never a real person. He thinks Carl was like, the reason nobody ever saw him is because Carl did not fucking exist. Like that's how like deep the Dolly conspiracy
Carl
is.
died. It's
right.
Like they lost the rights for that like Getty image.
Stock
photo they found of the guy.
Right.
Carl died on the way to his home planet. Whatever.
That's right.
Carl not exist. Man, I want that conspiracy theory to be more popular. Carl.
Yeah.
I never heard that, and he was like, no, I don't think he like full throated. And I gotta tell you, this guy is like such a sweet person, but he's like very quiet most of the time. And the thing he got really fucking impassioned about is that he doesn't think Dolly Parton's husband was a real person.
Hell yeah, I love that. That is a harmless conspiracy theory.
I love it. But how much of this is like, for somebody who's so fucking controlling, do we really think he's loosening the reins, or do we maybe think that he's just like, I'm now going to control the fall, essentially. Like, I'm just going to control the, like, landing of, like...
Well, this is what... 2025 is so interesting for this reason. Because, I mean, I'm in a bubble of, like, paying consistent attention to him ever since I started listening to him. But it feels like 2025 is like, whoa, he is... The volume of stuff he's putting out is so much. Just, like, recorded output. And then, like... cultural relevance at the beginning of the year, he was finishing the Letter to You tour, which became the Land of Hope and Dreams tour because they're rescheduled dates, blah, blah, blah. And that's the one where he started doing the like, and Trump actually doesn't represent blah, blah, blah. And they put it out as a EP. And Trump goes on Truth Social like Daffy Duck in a cartoon going to like the trap. And being like, Bruce sucks and is not American. And then it's like, everyone, we stand Bruce, doing that whole song and dance. But also with this box set and the Tracks 2 Lost Albums box set earlier this summer, he has put out like over, it's over 90 something songs this year.
Oh my.
Jesus.
That people have either not heard before or have only existed on like bootlegs and stuff. So I do think there is a loose. I think the Bruce of 1985, if you said like one day you're going to record albums, throw them away, but then you'll put them out, he'd be like, no, they'll always be in the vault. And now he's like, yeah, whatever, you can have it. Like, so I think there is loosening of the grip in the way. The only way I care about is as a consumer listener, whether in his like, yes, in the business decisions of it and his like own personal myth making, whatever, he can do whatever he wants with that. But the idea of like, there's going to be a Tracks 3 in like a year or two from now that's finally going to have Protection, the song he wrote for Donna Summer, that's so banging. And it is his best unreleased song that you can find a good bootleg of on YouTube. Wow. But the idea that that's going to be on an album finally after me listening to it for years, that's what I want, Yeah. So I do think he's loosening it, but
maybe he's trapped in a record contract where he has to release albums to earn his masters back.
Well, this is interesting. He sold it. He sold it.
That's right. I forgot about that.
For like 300 million. He's like, whatever. So I think even that's like, I don't care, because I think the Bruce who made Nebraska would, if you were like, do you want to sell your albums for $300 million? He'd be like, no, no.
Fuck you. Yeah.
No. And so much of this movie, Deliver Me from Nowhere, is him going, no. It doesn't like you were talking about Dakota about Born to Run. It doesn't sound the way it sounded in the bedroom. And I do think that there's some verisimilitude to what happened in real life in those events. But watching, I was like, yeesh, relax.
I guess like the other like kind of we're talking about like kind of the control, like how he's like trying to like express nonchalant while also being very intentional, while also being very methodical and such. Like there's even on this album, there's a little bit of that. Like even on like the Atlantic City, there's like some kind of like he was very intentional with like the way he was like doing the background vocals and like the way he was like sort of like filtering the audio and everything. And it's yeah, that's something to.
Oh yeah, all the production is what I would expect from Bruce Springsteen. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah, it's very produced for being an album he recorded on a 4-track in a bedroom. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, this is like an interesting war if you want to track it as far as like production and sound aesthetics of his albums over time, because obviously the first two, Greetings and Wild the Innocent, they didn't really have any money.
Yeah.
The third one, it's well documented in that Peter Ames Carlin book that came out earlier this year. He kind of went insane making it, and like, you know, a million takes and instructing Clarence to every note of the Jungle Land, sax solo, etc. Kind of the same thing with Darkness, which he then would call overproduced later on in his career. Then on The River, Steven Van Zandt is credited as a producer on that. And their whole thing with that is like, let's just knock it out, garage band style. Everyone records in the same room, no overdubs, no million takes. And they would record in the same room before. But that was the one where it's like Steve won the argument as far as like how to do it. So you kind of see this evolution of like like an arc towards spontaneity, to the point of like Nebraska's an interesting fulcrum, because it's like he didn't mean to be spontaneous. Then he tried to control in the studio, and then he gives in to like these mistakes he made, quote unquote, on the album, where he was like, oh, you know, I have Debts No Honest Man Can Pay. That's on 2 songs. I would have re-recorded and put it on 1 song, but I recorded it the way it is. So it's just the way it is. So he, like, by his own admission of integrity, was kind of forced into this position of like, I have to put it out in this very imperfect fashion that's like not exactly what I want it to be, but I can recognize that this is actually better, with the hiss, with the weird way that, you know, Mike Batland filtered the audio through the Echo Vox or whatever that box was called.
That little slappy delay.
Like that he kind of like relinquished his control in that way.
You can hear all the plosives on it. Like I have my computer sound system is it's like an old gaming system, so I've got a big subwoofer. And every time I could hear all the plosives on the album, which will never exist on any other, like that doesn't exist on like any album ever. Like that is not a SoundCloud rapper in his basement. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And it just makes it completely timeless too. Like it doesn't, this is 1982. Like it doesn't sound like the 80s. It doesn't sound like the 70s. It doesn't sound like the 90s. It doesn't sound like anything in a way that I think is aged so well.
Let's talk about themes though. Like let's talk about like what this album is actually about and such. Like what do you
Chicken, cars.
My dad.
Chicken, cars, dad. The Trinity.
Hey,
sometimes together.
Those are the 3 elements to make a great album. But like I guess like there's like one just like thought I had is just like there's like it's talking about like a systemic meanness, and then like an internal like unexplainable meanness going on in the world of just like the album starts with like the song Nebraska, where the guy like and his like underage girlfriend kill 10 people, and you know they revel in how fun it was, and like they don't feel remorse at all, and then he dies, and then he gets like you know the electric chair and dies, and like I guess there's a meanness to the world. So like this
everybody's got a hungry heart. Yes, it's quite dark.
Yeah. There's like an unexplainable evil and meanness to the world. And then there's like kind of like a systemic one of like the Johnny 99 story of like him like the socioeconomical like circumstances drove him, the character Mad, to do what he did. And then there's also like an unexplained hope at the same time that comes out of that. And it's like, I think it's like the cyclical nature of cynicism and hope, of like how like, you know, like it's kind of like ridiculous and foolish to like look at a dog like hoping it comes back to life, but it's also like very beautiful that like the human spirit, like after being stepped on so many times, like you still believe and you still like rebuild, you still try to make sense of everything.
Well, what's funny to me about that song is like I totally have a different I receive reason to believe in a totally different way than that, you know, because that's the refrain, is like dead dog poking it with a stick, you know, at the end of every day people find some reason to believe. And it's this scene of, you know, someone gets left at the altar, someone's abandoned. I guess people find some reason to believe, but it almost feels snide. And like almost sarcastic in a way, where it's like, I guess people find a reason to believe. And he talks about like respecting Flannery O'Connor stuff because she was tapping into what it was to reckon with the pure unknowability of God, in the same way that like it's not like faith is a comfort, but it's like I guess people find some reason, like if you can withstand all these like mundane little, and he's not talking about like genocide or anything, but just like the notion of like there is just like constantly bad things and a meanness in the world. And the fact that Nebraska and Reason to Believe like bookend it. I actually think it's the darkest song he's ever written in a lot of ways. Like it actually offers no antidote or solution to any of that stuff, other than like it almost sounds like he's embodying like either a dopey character or like a deeply embittered and cynical character that's like, I guess some people find a reason to believe. And oh yeah, there's a great version of that from the Magic Tour in 2007 where he kind of turns into a ZZ Top song where he does this long harmonica solo and shouts in between, and yeah, but it's like it's that existential soul darkness, like you were talking about, Andrew, mixed in with the like economic realities, which like are just like very artfully, it's about Reagan, it's about trickle down, but it's like it's not ever explicitly invoking those things. But other than like, yeah, they closed down the auto plant in Mawa. Well, why'd they do that? Well, you know, because we're moving towards this sort of like capitalist structure, industrialization, et cetera, et cetera. And the idea that like it's a deeply empathetic portrait in every song, I think, of people. Even in State Trooper, I find there to be a good bit of empathy, even as like perverse as that song is in some ways, you know.
Yeah, I find like this album to be just a pitch black portrait of like the world and just like the state of society at the time. But it's also like a very like it might be his most empathetic album too, just because he's singing about some very tortured characters, you know, like Vietnam vets, like the guy who, you know, like he wants to be a good cop, but like, you know, he can't look away, he can't turn away from his brother, like who, you know, is messed up from, you know, what happened in Vietnam and everything. And like, it's just such a left turn from, I think, lovingly, I say this, like a lot of like theater kid energy from his first like couple albums, you know, where it's like, hey, it's a 10th Avenue freeze out, everybody. Like, you know,
well, I gotta get to 10th Avenue.
yeah. What's that? No, not 9th Avenue. Like
one like, more.
You know, like we're going into the city.
these like 3-minute saxophone solos of Jungle Land and everything. This is just like
you're right. That Jungle Land, you're so right, Dakota. Jungle Land is so Broadway.
It's so Broadway.
So like, yeah,
in the best way.
In the best way. Because we won't have any Clarence Clemens slander on this podcast.
No,
certainly
not at all.
Absolutely fucking not.
But you know, like it's like the first those albums that I loved, you know, Born to Run. I think my personal favorite album of his is Darkness on the Edge of Town. Like,
ooh,
he's doing these very human portrayals of these characters and the world and making it feel very lived in. But Nebraska feels like the first time where he is really like digging deep and being like, instead of painting like a narrative world that feels lived in and fun and everything, he's like, you know, looking at like the muck and the mire and the grime of like the reality, where he's not interested in building a world to present to you, but rather showing you what is outside his window. And that's a lot of dust and corn stalks and dirt and, you know, blood and sadness. And, you know, him relating to all these Vietnam vets and like, you know, factory workers, like, and shining a light, I guess, on his own darkness, you know, talking about his dad and everything. Like, it is just such a stark turn that also, you know, with the benefit of hindsight that we have now, like, I didn't live through these albums coming out. I listen to this album and I think like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Like this feels right at home in the grander catalog of his. But at the time, I could definitely people being like, whoa, what's going on here? I think I saw like a comment on one of the Genius pages for this song, and they compared him being influenced by the band Suicide to like, that would be like if Sabrina Carpenter put out an album that was influenced by Swans, you know?
That's very funny.
And
yeah. He covered a Suicide song called Dream Baby Dream on at least 2 of his tours. And they very explicitly and stupidly, Dakota, make explicit the Suicide influence in the movie Deliver Me From Nowhere, where Richard Jewell walks in on Bruce Springsteen laying on the ground. He's like, what are you listening to? And he's like,
Richard Jewell.
Come on.
Yeah, Paul Walter Hauser, Jeremy Allen White. They're all 3 names.
At that point, like, are we really like out of the realm of territory of plopping Tom Hanks in there going, he's white? Like just do that.
That's
just
the thing. He's depressed. He's depressed.
He's sad.
He's sad. Yeah, they all are. What do you mean?
So like, I think like there's like a by telling these stories, you're kind of like, it's like to give meaning to this like suffering on some level. Like if you make it into art, it becomes meaningful on some level. Like there's a little bit of that going on. And then there's a meanness to like the fate of all these characters that he chooses to write about, like partly because it's reflecting reality, even though a lot of these characters are kind of archetypal, elemental, like we know very little details about them. But there's also like, I think it's also like this album is a lot about like the people, the families and the loved ones of these characters who have to pick up the pieces. And like, it's like, you know, there's a meanness to like the characters that aren't represented in these stories. Like do
you think this album is like mean though? I mean that genuinely. Like even in the first track with how dark its subject matter is, like obviously I'm not going to sign off on this guy doing a cross-state killing spree with his underage girlfriend, but like,
by the way, problematic,
ill-advised. I think we can all safely say in 2025.
Like, yeah, dig up that guy's tweets when he was 14. What was he saying? But like even on that song, I think that Bruce is like trying to demonstrate like that they're like that guy, reading into him, he had like a misshapen leg, and like his justification for it was like, having fun, and like the world has been so like cruel and mean to him. And I think like I don't think Bruce is like signing off on that or anything, but I think he's trying to like dig up these characters to be like, you know, this is what happens when the world treats people a certain way, you know, and that it's like kind of opening up things to just be very like frank and sober about like the way that people are treated in the world. And that's everything from factory workers on the night shift. You know, you got this guy who's like, he's driving all night, stopping, you know, at diners that are open 24/7. And he's just excited to get back to his girl. And like, you know, that's treated with all the like joy and bombast of a team like winning the Super Bowl. It's just this guy driving, excited to get home to his girl. But he, you know, he's singing about the night shift workers, the Vietnam vets, like the bored policemen, like just all these people. I think it's like a really, I don't know if I would categorize, maybe it's splitting hairs. I don't know if I would categorize that as a mean.
I would say like the world he portrays is very mean, but like Bruce, the narrator, is very empathetic, very humanizing of all these people. And
it's
like
it's very journalistic to me, it feels, because it doesn't feel like he's really offering a lot of like opinions about them. He's just like, I mean, especially what is it, Highway Patrolman, just because it's very like, here I am, I work for the state and whatever, and like it feels like, it almost feels like he interviewed people and then was just like, here's this person's life story in a song, with not a lot of additional commentary. I feel, you know,
this is a little cuckoo, but I right now am drawing to mind the film Eddington.
No, yeah.
Do you want to see the film Eddington here?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Did you saw it, Steph? Did you see it?
No.
So
I can't even envision what it's about.
About 2020. Yeah, it's like a Ari Aster movie and such.
Oh,
it takes place
the one
during
with
the
Joaquin
pandemic.
Phoenix and Pedro Pascal, right? Okay, it's the only Pedro Pascal movie I haven't seen.
So it's like goofy, and I think there is more of a POV in the in that film for the kind of world.
POV,
like,
you're a right-wing cop.
Exactly. POV, you're a right-wing cop. But the interesting thing about that movie to me is I think a lot of the ire that it drew was offering diagnosis without offering solution. So it's like, oh, here's the particular fashion in which we might be cooking right now on phone stuff, conspiracy theory moms, guys furiously Googling Angela Davis so they can score, identity up for grabs, things of that nature. But there's no like, but if we only do this, or if we could turn our attention, if we found the inner blah, 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 blah. It's just, here's what it is. And a lot of it is like absurd and strange and weird and ugly to look at. I think I think people don't enjoy that. And I do wonder, like not being like such a bad student of history or whatever, if there's like any parallel to draw with what Reagan's America, what it felt like to be cooking in its own fashion under that sort of regime and the economic conditions of that, and what was happening to people for whom certain dreams were within reach and then they weren't, and then just like hyper capitalism taking off in a certain way that it had not before. If there's something where it's like, here are the conditions, I offer no solution, I am just telling you what seems to be going on now. And the guy who got laid off at the plant and then killed the guy at the store, and the guy who's dreaming about never buying a used car, and the guy that gets stood up by the river washing on so effortlessly. It's kind of this, it is connected in a non-literal way, but this is like the mood of the country right now.
Yeah, I get like a lot of the same feeling. I think Eddington's like a great parallel to draw. I feel like the same way with like The Wire here. The Wire, I think people don't have as many complaints about, like, well, you didn't offer solutions because The Wire had the benefit of being 5 seasons long. And it might have not showed you 5 seasons, like it might not have given you solutions in the same way at Eddington, but it had 5 seasons to diagnose the problem, to you know, being like, oh, you're telling me that the press and the kids and the dock workers and the politicians all, you know, like all inhabit the same space and coexist. But yeah, I definitely think that like, you know, like that same sort of not giving solutions, not attempting to answer things, but rather just uncovering like the right questions to ask, or, you know, the right portrayal.
And that's what good art does, man.
It is, though, you know.
Yeah. I guess like I want to finish my point, and I want to hear from Steph, like, you know, what her thoughts are on the themes. But like, I guess like the point the thing I was trying to get at was like, the characters who aren't represented are like the people killed in the song Nebraska. Like Maria isn't really represented. The wife in Atlantic City, that song, like even like Bruce's mother a little bit isn't really represented. Like she's kind of like just like a just an idea really here, like an archetype or like have a spiritual thing here going on. But I think there's like a so like, and I think this is how he thinks about his dad. I think this is how he thinks about his upbringing of like, you know, his dad has misunderstood mental illness. He's like living in poverty. He's like working himself to the bone. He's like being like tricked by like these used car salesmen and everything. And it's like, there's like this, explainable context for like why his dad did what he did, even though it's like there's like not like always explicit like this is what this is like, but like, and then there's like but it's like it still doesn't like kind of excuse abusing, you know, your wife and kids and stuff like that, you know, that there's that going on. I feel what do you, is that
I personally am okay. I don't know if it's an incomplete picture to not try to embody, you know, the victims of crime on something like this. I don't know if that's what I need in particular from an album like this. Especially because it's like it feels like an interrogation of the men who do these things. So in an interrogation by an embodiment of it. You know. But it would be cool if he got into a sort of like, you know, Drake, Kendrick, Lamar situation where he puts this out, and then a Joni Mitchell puts out her bedroom pop album, but it's a different state, like Michigan, the next year. And then, you know, they just keep trading barbs back and forth. That would be kind of sick.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, like on the sort of like completeness of the points of view at play here. Like I think one of Bruce's strengths as a writer, like I know, you know, he always jokes about like, I've never been a blue collar worker, I'm a really good actor, and like, yeah, that's your theater kid coming out, Bruce. But
all right, zip zap zop.
Yeah.
Really?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, he goes like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay.
He can only do crazy 1, 2, 3, 4s. That's so sad.
Yeah. But like I think one of his strengths as a writer is like he knows his limits. You know, he knows what he can get away with, and like what he can sell. And he's done a really good job of like not overextending himself, and like you know, there's a lot of experimentation in his writing, but like, I mean, judging from how he's like opened up the vault, like any sort of experiment or one-off has been like labored over for how he's gonna like really sell it. And I think going into like the victims themselves in these songs might be just sort of like a little bit of an unnecessary step for like what he's trying to portray, you know, like he's really interrogating that masculinity and that like darkness within people and like the world. And I'm not really sure what a song, you know, explicitly getting into like one of the victims.
I don't think that was
really do with that.
I don't think that was like my intention of what I was trying to like express like he should do this instead. I'm saying
Totally.
like these are like things that like when I was like thinking of these stories, I was like, man, the wreckage left behind after this happened, that's like really like, and then we never hear from these characters again and such like that. It's like kind of like the tragic nature of what we're all saying, like capitalism destroying everything, like just like unexplained evil, just like mental illness, all these things like ravaging these characters and then just like leaving them behind, and then them trying to make meaning out of that, them trying to like find hope and like, I guess people find meaning somehow, out of that. Like that was more of what I was trying to express.
Yeah, I think that is a great point. And I think like there's definitely some in a meta sense, like, is that not what happens in real life? Like bad things happen and then we all collectively move on, but those people linger in the shadows and the wreckage for potentially the rest of their lives.
I think it's something you feel pretty profoundly too in listening to it, even in its absence. It's a presence felt in a way.
Totally.
Yeah, and like I think what I was trying to say is like Bruce himself is a he's like on the other end of like his, all the conditions of society, and then his father, and then like all these challenges, the conditions of how he was raised, and now he's on the other side of it, like trying to make sense, trying to like fill the hole, as it were, trying to like make sense of all
that
these
hole.
things. Yeah. Steph, what do you think were some themes of this?
Of this album, it's a great question. I do think you're right that empathy is in there.
Whoa, man.
Like it's a very like I hate to say the word humanist because it makes me sound really pretentious, but it's very like human album. It's just about people and yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of hit all of it. I don't know. I think that there's a like, for as much as you can really...
Chicken, dad, what was the third one?
Used cars.
Yeah.
Chicken cat.
Chicken, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Chicken.
Okay. Blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night, Atlantic City. Open all night. I met Wanda when she was employed by the counter at the Root Sissy Bob's Big Boyd. Fried chicken on the front seat.
That's
She's sitting on
right.
my lap. Come on now.
Let's talk about some highlight songs. Robert Does Break. Click. All right. This is going great. I'm gonna use the restroom real quickly, and I'll be coming
BRB?
back. Yeah, BRB.
Right.
I'm gonna girl boss too close. I'm gonna guy boss too close to the toilet. Okay, goodbye.
Guy
Oh,
Boss
what?
goes too close to the
I really wish you hadn't said that out loud, brother.
Oh, mama.
Okay, goodbye.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying the episode, please consider subscribing to our I've Been Meaning to Listen to That Patreon, where for $2.99 a month, you get access to our I've Been Meaning to Watch That bonus podcast feed, where we cover movie musicals, we cover concert films, we cover musician biopics, and it's just a great time with our co-host Stefanie Sr., and it's all just for $2.99 a month, so please consider subscribing, supporting the show. We really love doing the show, so it'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, so and we're back here to talk about Nebraska by Bruce Springsteen. Let's talk about some highlight songs. Stefanie? Let's turn to you. What's a highlight song from this album?
Yeah, man. I really like Atlantic City. Oh, thanks, Kevin. That's very helpful.
Yeah, just in case anyone forgot.
Yeah.
Here's
No,
the
that's
songs.
great. I love
What's
it.
the best cover? What's the best like live version of that particular song, and what year did it come out?
Reunion tour July 1st, 2000. Nugs.com.
Okay, thank you.
Nugs.net. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
thank you very much.
There's something I really like. I like Highway Patrolman. I like the narrative of it. I like the way it buttons. But there's something about Atlantic City that I really enjoy. I like the I don't know. There's something about like it's really melancholy, but the last two lines of the refrain are what is it? Put your makeup on and do your hair pretty and meet me in Atlantic City or whatever it is. And like there's something I really like about that for some reason. Like there's something about like awful things are happening. Let's go do something sort of distracting, I suppose. That's sort of I don't know. It's like it stirs something within my cold, dark heart.
There's a lyrical sort of trope he returns to a lot of. He's always asking people to meet him places, you know. Meet me out on the street, obviously, for out on the street, on the river. Meet me tonight in Atlantic City. And I do think about that's one of the reasons I think August would be a good Bruce cover, because he can sing "Meet me behind the mall," and it would fit, you know. Atlantic City. I think that's his first music video. There's a very interesting black and white music video. Yeah, he's not in it. It's like edited stock footage, but it's pretty interesting. I think that was the first thing he put on MTV.
Wow. And this song like kind of goes to my like kind of theme of like cynicism and like hope, kind of like, you know, on a cyclical level in terms of like Atlantic City, in like how it's been like dilapidated and like kind of just like systemically kind of abandoned, and then they had like legalized gambling, and it became that hub for that for a little bit, and then like it just like went downhill even worse from there. And it's just like kind of the it's there, like this stuff is there without like the lyrics saying it's there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, everything dies, that's a fact, but maybe everything comes back. Like that's yin and yang, right? That's it will end this way, but maybe it doesn't, okay, unless who knows?
That was no joke. I had that refrain. I mean, I was listening to it today, and that refrain was very powerful as I was cleaning out my humidifiers that I dug out like a couple months. I was like, mother of God, what happened here? Like, well, I can save you, you know? These humidifiers are in a dire state right now, but maybe by the end of this, they'll be
maybe they'll come back. Who knows? We fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, you know, friendly reminder to anybody listening to us, clean your humidifiers.
Clean them. You gotta be cleaning them.
You should definitely also be cleaning them more than once a year, brother.
Oh no, I know. Believe me, I know.
That's how you get sick.
I know.
That reminds me of Nebraska in the following ways.
You know, yeah, it was a good soundtrack to clean them out. I also like I really like Atlantic City too. You know, I think it sounds the most like traditional Bruce before this, you know, like the electric version. That's like maybe one of the only ones where I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I could see what he was cooking up if he wanted to do like an E Street version of this. I am incredibly charmed though by his ghastly wails of just whoa, like in the background. I think like it's so perfect the way that it's done. It's so like charmingly
I didn't know he had it in him.
Juvenile, you know.
Atlantic City.
Whoa!
It's the end of Jungle Land.
Oh yeah. I think he played that in Houston when I saw him in Atlantic City. There's really good cover by the band too. The band is in like The Weight and the band, but yeah, very good cover of that song on one of their later albums.
Yeah, it does have like, I think that's the one that it has like blueprints of like Downbound Train, and like I feel like you can see the architecture of Born in the USA in a lot of spots.
Atlantic City.
I mean, I know they all came from the same
you're so
session,
right.
but it's like, it's like you can really like you can see the like shades of that of Born in the USA starting to come through for sure.
You could have swapped that and down. You're right. They
Totally.
could have swapped that and Downbound Train, and it would have been similar in vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and especially hearing Atlantic City, I was like, I'm actually now really surprised that Downbound Train got cut from Nebraska, because I think it also could have just been on Nebraska and it would have fit right in there.
Listen,
yeah.
he's a weirdo.
He's a weirdo.
I mean, he told me it was okay to be weird though. It was like, you know, just like
he'll cut anything. But this is during his freak period where it's like, I'm gonna write 50 songs and 40 of them will be awesome, and I'm gonna use 10 of them.
Yeah, and it's like vibes.
That's
based
just his
only.
way. Yeah. Personally, I love Open All Night, but I already talked about that.
Well, that's the song was kind of a mystery to me. What's that? What do you like
too.
about that one?
That one didn't really slap for me. So
yeah, I wonder
that.
if I re-listen to it without the context of like the versions I've been listening to for decades now. Decades.
Oh, I see.
Because I do just listen to the swing Cajun rap one.
Incredible.
Where the refrain of it is a horn section going like that's what that song turned into, which is so funny to me how malleable the bones and the structure of his songwriting was.
You can take the boss out of the theater, but you can't take the theater out of the boss.
That's right.
And you never will.
Thank you, Five. I mean, gang, it's all Nebraska. Love it. Atlantic, love it. Mansion on the Hill, love it in its own way. I think the only
not any ones that I didn't really like. There were ones that I thought I wasn't gonna like. I thought I was gonna be like eye rolly about My Father's House. I was like, oh my god, who cares, you know? But
no, but that one's like.
But I kind of
it goes it
goes hard, but even then it like there's something it reminds me
beautiful
of like
melody too.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a hymn almost. Like it's very like steady and contemplative, and there's something there's like not a bad one on the album for me.
It's almost like a nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
You know? Like I was thinking like, is this like him trying to comfort like his inner child with almost like the nursery rhyme that he wished like was there between him and his dad or something. I don't know. It was beautiful.
All this talk of the song, gang, the first thing I'm going to do after the show is over is I'm going to turn on the TV, put on Springsteen on Broadway, and watch My Father's House.
Because like the thing about like, because I actually referenced that in my notes of just like, he had in that show, I didn't watch the whole thing, I'm gonna watch it, but like the whole thing is like he has this monologue about like we're ghosts or we're ancestors in our children's lives, and he's like talking about his dad. He's talking about like how, you know, there's a turning point where his dad eventually became more of an ancestor figure who, instead of a ghost haunting his every decision, every move and such like that. But I think it's also like him, this is a very haunted album. By like, I think his dad is all over his album, like haunting him, but like I think he's trying to be ancestral to his inner child in a way. He's trying to like offer some peace to his inner child as well. Like he's like the past is haunting him, but he's also haunting his past. You know, so
you know what's interesting about like all this ancestry talk too is like the thesis of Deliver Me From Nowhere is like, oh yeah, his dad was weird, and that's what the album is about. And obviously there's like some direct correlation with some of the subject matter. But when he's talked in other interviews, he's like, our family was kind of messed up and traumatized because my mom's sister was killed by a car at a young age. So my grandparents raised me.
Yeah.
Because in a way where it's like, you know, they like over-coddled me and stuff. So like a lot of like the weird grandparental energy and like the Irish Italian stuff, that's what he grew up with, and that's so much of like the meat and potatoes of the music here. But it's so funny that Scott Cooper's like, no, this is his dad. It's like not really.
That's where I am in his autobiography, as he's talking about they lived in the church, and then like everybody would come by, and they finally got the like moving to the church was the upgrade. Yeah, that's where I'm really in the book. But
that book, I will say, Steph, is to my eyes so well written in a way where I'm like, well, why aren't your lyrics that well written these days? Like
it's poetry. It's like really beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous in parts, and he can still write a gorgeous song every now and again. But like so much of it is like the skies are blue and the jacket's gray, and I'm like, dog, come on. Let's do one more pass at the kitchen table, King. Out of these songs, by the way, here's a little game. Okay, one of these songs when he was campaigning and stumping for Obama for his first presidential campaign, 2008, he would play one of these songs on the set. Can anyone guess which song it was?
I really hope it was My
Open
Father's
All Night?
House.
No, it's got to be Reason to Believe.
Okay. Dakota says Reason to Believe. Andrew's Open All Night. Steph, what do you say?
Stomach for Obama.
Yeah,
I
think about
know.
Obama and what he would like.
It's the reason to
Cops,
believe is
like, you know,
reason to believe is the only one that makes sense to me. I hope
It
it's something
is.
unhinged.
why would it be that though? Like he's talking about like a dead dog in that song. Wow. Why?
Bush's presidency is a dead dog on the highway in the ditch.
That's right.
I think it was used cars because the economy in 2008, if we recall,
sure.
Oh.
the gutter. So,
Oh, brother.
That's
that
kind of
was-
lame.
But they
I don't
both have that
disagree.
dad thing, you know what I mean? They both have the like absent father thing going on, you know.
Yeah,
so,
I guess.
and then you can buy a car with your dad, and it's all said
Buy
and
a
done, or
car
whatever.
with your dad.
Yeah, like I'll say like my father's house is my highlight. We've already been talking about it for a little bit, but I just want to say like there's like a theme of driving away from something, like kind of running away from something. There's also a theme of like driving past like a fixed points. He talks about it like in one of his live shows of like just you keep driving past this house because you want to like change it, but you can't change like the past and stuff like that. So I think like this like and we're the song really works well with like Mansion on a Hill, where like they keep like driving past the mansion on a hill and going like, man, it would be great to live in that place. And then in my father's house, he's now living in the mansion, but he's like driving past his father's house going like, man, I wish I had my father's affection. I wish I could like run into his arms. I had a dream and it's too late. And like he's a ghost and all these things. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it might. I mean, it might be the best song on the album
Yeah.
in some ways. Honestly, I would, and it's so rare that he writes songs in 3/4 time signature. I can
Wow.
only, can I think of more than one other? He has a song called Valentine's Day and Tunnel of Love, but otherwise, I don't know how many he's written in a sort of waltz time.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what gives it that sort of like nursery rhyme kind of lullaby feel too. Is that sort of
Oh,
it
definitely.
gives it this like gives it this like rocking feel a little bit, and it's
It's beautiful.
really compelling and heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. You know, there's like this moment that's like that moment of like there's a weird like coming of age baked into it too, right? It's like I finally went to my father's house and he doesn't live there anymore and he hasn't for a long time, and like there's something about like not having your dad around anymore that makes you have to grow up a lot, you know. Yeah, man.
100%.
Yeah, his emotions on that album, like it or on that song in his voice, like really sell it. Like I think like I was like following along like with all the lyrics on Genius as I was like giving it a listen, and like I think if you were to like read the lyrics to My Father's House, not that they're like awful or anything, but that's probably like the closest to like like I was walking and my arm got cut. And then I walked into my father's arms. It's very like, here's a thing that's going on. But like the just reading those and not having like what's actually going on with his voice, like really robs it of that magic. Because like I mean, heartbreaking stuff.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of the songs on this album, it's like he's really getting into his lyrical economy here, as we've discussed. Like, it's like it's very concise, you know.
Yeah, but like without sacrificing the emotion, like it's like really like Rick and Morty is like there's an economy of like storytelling there, but like hey, by the way, like Bruce Springsteen's like Rick and Morty. Like to be fair, you have to have very high IQ
guy who's only watched Rick and Morty and heard Nebraska while watching Rick and Morty.
Nebraska reminds me of Rick and Morty.
I'm saying like like I don't always like the economy of like storytelling all the time. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like
Pickle Rick. I love that show. That's a guy on there, right?
That's that's that in itself. Like the Rick and Morty Nebraska cross section is a branch.
It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. He's a pickle Rick.
Performative nailness for sure.
Morty, I'm a state trooper now. Morty.
Highway Patrolman's like a real big highlight for me too. Like that's
really gorgeous.
Just I like the
Highlight Patrolman.
Yeah, I like highlight.
That's Andrew's title of the podcast.
You can follow me at Kev T Port everywhere if you want more stuff like that. Yeah.
I like the
Bangers
story.
every day.
The story. This is like another song where the voice, the emotion in his voice is really potent.
Yeah.
The resignation and just like the sorrow of just like we used to dance to this song together, like me and Maria and like my brother, and now this like the end of the song is just like him showing one last act of mercy, but it's also the last time he'll ever see him again.
Yeah.
Like it's just like the fact that like he tried to put him back on the straight and narrow time and time again, but he just kept straying because of whatever trauma he was going through and such. And like it's just and like the slow methodical pacing of it too is like it really builds up in a beautiful way. And I also like the way that these songs kind of, there is like an ebb and flow of like this one's a more high energy one, this one's kind of like a slower one, but like I like that all the songs kind of meld together so that you could just like listen to it like just and not pay attention to any of the words at all. Like I really like that too.
I think Used Car is such a weird B-side starter.
I agree.
Like, I kind of like the A-side ending with
right.
State Trooper is great, but Used Car is such a weird B-side starter. Like, listen, you're right, Andrew, you're right. Like, if listening to it just all the way top to bottom, it really works. But, like, splitting it, I listened to this, like, I streamed this, but I stopped at State Trooper, and I took a break, and then I came back and started it. It's a weird, that's a really
It makes me
weird...
think of Obama, though, so that's pretty cool.
Like, I hate used cars. Well, I love Michelle and Jennifer Aniston, I guess.
Oh, Michael, I'm so sad Michael's not here. Like,
I know.
because like he loves that.
There's a little quote I was pulling up from the box set booklet where he said, this is Bruce talking, I wanted pitch black bedtime stories. I thought of the records of John Lee Hooker and Robert Johnson, music that sounded so good with the lights out. I wanted the listener to hear my characters think, to feel their thoughts, their choices. These songs were restrained still on the surface with a world of moral ambiguity and unease below. Which I like that. We're kind of, my friends and I are kind of getting into this idea of like, let's all get together and like when Life of a Slow Girl came out, we were like, let's all get together and listen to it, have a little listening party. And I do like the idea of like, hey guys, come over. I got an album I want all of us to listen to. And they just walk in, the lights are off. I'm like, everyone, be quiet.
It's Nebraska.
And just like, hopefully no one kills themselves on the way home or like drives off the road after that. But I think it might be a fun experiment.
Just to see if somebody's gonna drive off the road.
No, not that part. No, just to do a listening party for Nebraska. Someone can draw the straight line between this and For Emma Forever Ago.
Oh, I love that. I was thinking that too.
Taylor was doing the same thing on Life of a Showgirl. Wood was made to be listened to with the sound, with the lights off, in a room, and
the speakers off.
The sound off was the funniest slip that you could have done there.
Any other highlights or stray observations? I feel like we don't really have a lot of lowlights. If there's any lowlights,
I don't have any.
No, I think my favorite song might be State Trooper. I found myself like really zoning out in the best way during that like seemingly endless strum at the end.
Yeah.
I went to school at Northern Illinois in DeKalb, Illinois, which was in the middle of nowhere. And the amount of times that I just like spaced out with like long stretches of empty roads and corn, like that just endless strum just made me think of like all the mindless hours I spent driving and just not being able to recall anything, but just being on the open road, like in the middle of nowhere and only having your thoughts. Like I thought that part was really cool.
Oh yeah, I think it's the scariest song he's ever done. This recording
the Monster
of
Mash though, it's pretty frightening.
Yeah.
Like,
Monster Mash is number 2. Number 1 is State Trooper. Yeah, it's a close 2. But
I agree.
He does a really good the Arcade Fire one, but then the Dust Devils tour he did in 2005. He does a solo electric version of it where his voice sounds so good. and creepy on it. This is a much covered song of his too. You can look up a lot of cover versions of a lot of these songs. Actually, a lot of them are quite covered. Johnny 99, Mitch on the Hill, Atlantic City, obviously. State Trooper scares me for real, and I love it. Oh, it's lyrical
it's
economy.
a scary one.
I just there's no
Hereditary move over.
Hereditary move over. There's a new State Trooper. Talking about Ari Aster.
Yeah.
But my friends and I, those aforementioned friends that I would be on a group chat with forever, who I saw Bruce with at a young age, we used to have a little challenge. This was like 15 years ago. I still remember it, where we would like try to take every Bruce song we could and make it into a song about food. So obviously, corn in the USA, blah blah blah. My buddy Grant said, "Mr. Cream Scooper, please don't top me."
Wow.
And I always think of that when I listen to the song.
Now we will.
It's very funny. It was like 2020 or 2010 that he said that. I'm like, no, it's still funny.
That's pretty damn good.
It's good.
I guess like a straight observation, just like I really like Johnny 99 with like Nebraska as like pairings of song. There's a lot of like really like you could do like a lot of like just back and forth. Like the themes are just so simple, but like it's rich. It's a rich text. Like there's like a lot of things going on here. Where it's like I feel like Johnny 99 is like the light mode version of Nebraska, the song, you know, and like just like the two sides of just like, yep, there's no explaining this evil, and then it's like I did this because of this, you know, and they both like get electrocuted, like electric chaired at the end.
It's all like sort of on a theme of like, I mean, you're right about the sort of theme of like meanness, right? But it's like, you know, this is how the world made me, in a much less sort of cynical way than that, I think. But
yeah, same thing with Open All Night in State Trooper, right? They both use they both reuse a lot of the same like lyrics, and it kind of recontextualizes, you know, truly just how much like the emotion and the context like changes those specific lines, even though they're the exact same.
Yeah.
There was some other album recently that like reused lyrics in a couple of songs, and I always think it's kind of effective. For whatever reason, I'm never like, oh, what, do a new line. I'm like, oh, this is what are they trying to do here? This is interesting. So Dead Snot's Man Can Pay, and then in both Open All Night and State Trooper in the wee hours, your mind gets hazy. And one that's like, I'm gonna shoot a cop, and one's like, I want to be with Wanda. And this is a very different intention.
Can't wait to get home.
I did also Open All Night use the when he says he turns on it, he passes the cop and he turns on his party lights, which is something I have not heard in years. And it like, there's something about this album too that makes me think of like people that I grew up around, because I grew up in a very rural part of Illinois, and so I grew up around, you know, farmers, like people who, you know, it's just there's
corn in the USA.
That's right. And you know, we're in a neighborhood where we like know the local cops. Everybody's like, what's that guy gonna do? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, there's something about it that like that it just reminded me of people that I grew up with in a way I now find endearing that I probably would have not. Probably there was a time in my life I would not have enjoyed that. This is also, I feel like, a very like ACAB album in a way that I was not anticipating. Like it's very like fuck the police in a way.
Oh yeah, which I wonder. I don't know enough about like country music to understand like the historical traditions of it, but that it feels connected to like rockabilly outlaw stuff where it's like,
and you gotta like, we're talking, I mean, this is a whole other deep dive to get into, because we're talking historical, like historically, right? Like when you're talking about the people who are creating country music, you're also talking about the people who are like, let's say, running moonshine, who don't really fucking like cops, right? You live in the rural part of the state because you want everybody to leave you the fuck alone, and that includes the law. Like, you know,
living in God's country.
That's right.
Get me there.
Hunt squirrels for food.
Who's that clown that said, "Give me to God's country"? I forgot.
Morgan Wallen.
The one that the Haley Williams is in a very public protracted beef with.
Love that. Where's Haley Williams, Nebraska?
It's coming.
Getting that,
bro.
Coming.
Man, yeah, that's kind of a fun like. which major artist that, to our knowledge, hasn't put out a Nebraska-esque sort of like stripped down left turn that you would love to see one from?
Major artist?
Yeah, my answer is Cher. Cher's Nebraska.
Cher's due. She's
Nevada.
due.
She's due. Nevada. Reno.
So who's standing on the front porch?
I didn't know like doing a Nebraska is just like doing a cover of this album.
Yeah,
also.
a cover album of Nebraska. No.
Oh God.
Let's go through final thoughts and ratings. The way this works is we'll rate this album out of 10, a fun metric at the end. How would you like to rate this?
I'll give this 9 used cars out of 10.
I like the sound of that.
You know,
Wait,
I don't think I would.
Cars?
I don't think I would put this like at the top of my Bruce Springsteen power ranking, but like, there's not really a whole lot of faults to it. You know, like it's very distinct, and I think it has aged remarkably well, despite so many genres kind of taking this exact thing and iterating upon it. I don't know. Withstands the test of time. It's timeless, like I think in the best way. And yeah, I think maybe I would put this like number 3 or 4 on my Bruce Springsteen power ranking.
That's a fair slot. I'll give it 10 chicken mans out of 10. 10 chicken mans agree. Nebraska is a great album. It is his best sounding from this period in so many ways. Like in a way where I'm like, I'm not as compelled to go back and like, I gotta listen to the album Darkness. I never listen to Darkness. I think those songs are 10 out of 10. But I'm like, I like this version. But the experience, start to finish, of listening to these songs together, hoo, mama. Can't wait to do it with my friends and make them drive off the highway.
Yeah. I would give this. I'm gonna do 8 Highway Patrolman out of 10. I think it's an almost unclockable album. It's just like not my musical vibe is really the only fault that I have with it. So I don't know if I'll ever revisit it, if I'm being honest with you.
Whoa.
Genuinely, I just like the acoustic singer-songwriter thing is just it's not my jam.
I'm gonna send you some YouTube video stuff that might change your mind.
And I'm happy to receive them because I'm very much in the camp of it's always better live. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe I'll be having a day where I'm like, damn, I gotta get in my feels, and Born in the USA just simply won't cut it. But I'm happy to expand the Bruce library. Yeah, man. Like, and no skips, like who has an album that's no skips? This fucking guy, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. I would rank this 2 on my power ranking. Like so far, I've only listened to 4 albums of his so far, so I can't really say for sure.
What's your number 1?
Born to Run number 1. This I'll go East Street Shuffle, and then I'll go Born in the USA.
Born in the USA.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's like just a fantastic. I give it a 10 branches and brambles out of 10. I think it's incredibly beautiful. It's the simplicity of language and the economy of storytelling is quite fantastic. It's like Rick and Morty. No, just but like it's like Kevin's frowning every time I make that joke.
If we keep saying it will manifest.
You do wish that Bruce and Sufjan would be like, hey, between the two of us, we can knock out the other 47.
Dude, I was actually literally thinking like do you have the thought back when Sufjan was having this theater that he was going to do all 50 states, like he forgot about Nebraska and then he was like like the fucking meme of Lil Yachty and Drake in the Apple store, and somebody just shows him Nebraska and he's like, oh shit.
No, my bad. Well, that's how Deliver Me From Nowhere ends, is he approaches him at the end credits and says, I'm organizing a team. Obviously.
Yeah, we get the post-credit scene of Samuel Jackson bringing out Sufjan.
And then Timothy's there like, hey, I can write an album with you. It's like, Bob Dylan, whoa.
Yeah, like I think it's a fantastic album. I think it's like just it's great to study as just like you were saying, like the many modes of to enjoy this of like, let's insert Bruce in all these songs. What does this mean in Bruce's life? It works on that level. It works on literature as a piece of literature. It works as a piece of poetry. It works as something to just like put on your speaker and blank out to, just like kind of like chill out and like just like relax, like just like unwind
Blank
after
out
a stressful day.
Do you mean to say fuck out to? But you said blank. When you said blank out to, it sounded like you were censoring.
Yeah.
To blank out to. I'm like,
yeah, here's a little
to?
something to set the mood.
It's like,
I got an ice cream cone. Okay.
So yeah, 10 branches and brambles. It's just also just like beautifully felt, like the depth and he's able to mine, and the fact that it's all just lightning in a bottle is quite unreal too. Like just that, so 10 out of 10.
And I love this album cover so much, man. He used to have literally iconic album covers, and now they're so bad. This is one of 3 album covers that doesn't feature his gorgeous Irish Italian mug on it.
Hey, Western Stars didn't have it.
It's all right. Yeah.
No, I said one of 3. That's one of the 3. The other.
Wait, there's only 3 albums in his whole discography that aren't him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like it's and a lot of them are ugly.
Well,
like,
this one is his ass.
That's his ass. Well, yeah, but it is his ass. It's kind of the face of the.
What's the?
It's America's ass,
Greetings from Asbury Park, Western Star.
Oh God, I'm stupid. 4. It's 4. Get my ass, Dakota.
So
it was
stupid.
4. I'm so stupid. Guys, delete this episode.
Nebraska.
Oh no, yeah, Nebraska.
And
Greetings, Nebraska, Jode, Western Stars.
Jode.
I thought that was him and Jode. Anyways, so yeah, like let's go
the painting of a faceless figure.
Yeah, I was like, hey, bud. So yeah, let's. That was our review of Nebraska by Bruce Springsteen. What a fantastic time! What a fantastic episode. Kevin, the king, the absolute goat of podcasting. One of
the
my
girl boss.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the girl boss of my industry. Wait,
I mean, if Bruce is the boss,
then I would be happy to be the girl boss. Of course.
Bruce is the boss of podcasting. And like, but yeah, I guess like, yeah, just like one of my big inspirations in doing this art form at all. So like, truly.
Oh,
like,
well, God bless you. That's so kind.
Yeah, like one of the greats. Yeah, and so like anything you like to plug, anything out there for you? Like what's what would you like to direct people's attention to? Anything like that?
You can check out Time Magazine's list that they did. And
that's right.
I want to lift up my fellow like working class podcasters, Amy Poehler, Travis Kelsey, Dak Shepard. We all kind of came up together, and for me, it was just like beautiful to see this moment come to fruition, where it's like we're finally all getting our due in the same way for all of the equal hard work that we put into cultivating in this space and medium. Amy Poehler, who when that list came out, I think had been podcasting for 3 weeks.
Come on, that's like didn't Rolling Stone? It was either Rolling Stone or it might have even been Guitar World. They put their number 1 guitar player of the 21st century as Taylor Swift.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, that's such a troll move, because it's like now it's sticky for anyone who has half a brain, and they're like, "Isn't this stupid?" It's like, well, now we're talking about it. Dang it! It was effective.
We're talking about that the same way we're talking about Nebraska, Rick and Morty.
Nebraska, Rick and Morty, Taylor Swift's guitar playing.
Wow! Wow!
Those are 3 things.
Also, like upset about no Comedy Bang Bang on that list. Like that was really kind of bullshit. Anyways, yeah, but
they had it on. I said, take it off.
Oh, wow, I didn't know you were on the board.
Me and Scott are pissed off at each other right now.
Yeah, like you could follow the show at IBMT LTT on all platforms. Check out our Patreon show. I've been meaning to watch that. Well, where we cover movie musicals or just movies with music in it.
Andrew has run out of words.
Yeah. You can follow me and Andrew.
Maybe he should sing them.
Fifth Avenue, just like whatever. Yeah, you can follow me and Andrew Ambrose Lee, Dakota _with_fun, Stefan at Stefm Senior, Jon Butts at Jon Butts is here, Stenley at Snap a Sten, and Kevin. Any final words for our episode today?
At the end of every hard-earned day, people find some reason to believe.
Heck yeah.
Wow.
But
I don't. If I was punching up the song, that's what I would have said. But not me. I'm different. Because that wasn't clear to me. Bruce needed to make it clear.
Thanks everybody. Have a good day.